My name is Jay Bridgeball. I'm a real estate broker since 1988. I've seen the good days, the bad days, and the not so bad days. My passion is to educate consumer about all aspects in real estate. Actually, I sold over $1.75 billion in real estate. Now, that's a lot of experience. I went through many failures, many successes, and I've seen many stories that you will be amazed. Not everything looks so glamorous as it is sometimes. On Let's Talk Real Estate, we will dig deep down and I will take you step by step through every process, from buying your first home to buying a multi-million-dollar investment property. We will have various people on this show. Lawyers, investors, we'll have mortgage brokers, appraisals, and everyone else to assist us to take you to that point. My aim is to break it down in such easy terms that you will be able to follow. So please join me every Thursday between 1 and 2, and let's talk real estate.
Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Real Estate. You got myself, AMIT, one of the hosts, and I know it says up there that it's Jay Bridgeball, the next host, but we actually have Dennis from the Bridge team also, and he's kind of our resident fill-in and expert on real estate in general, and
You're too modest.
and yeah, definitely the general topics. So basically, the reason we brought Dennis on the show today is because we have a very, very special episode, and Dennis, you know a little bit about that.
Yes.
What it is we are going to be answering a lot of viewer questions and comments that have been asked over the last 4 weeks. And as strange as it is, we tend to get 2 or 3 questions per show, and these are things that we really realize if one person has the courage to ask it,
Yeah.
assuming other people really have the same question.
Yeah.
So Dennis, with that being said, we're going to basically touch on that for section 1, 2, and 3, and then we're going to go number 4 is going to be just a general market recap as always.
Sounds good.
So I'll dive right in. Now, first question here. Hi guys. I have a rental property, a property that's been rented out for the last 3 years. Now, the rental market has changed significantly in my area, but I don't really mind that. The main issue is the current tenants are habitually late on their rent. Should I apply to have them removed? And if so, what is the process? What's your advice? Dennis, any thoughts on that?
Well, when it comes to tenants, actually, there's a lot of protection for them from the tenant
Landlord and tenant board, yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one thing that is you can take into effect is if they pay the rent late.
Mm-hmm.
That's one's grounds of dismissal.
It really is, yeah.
Eviction,
Mm-hmm.
right? I had a client actually ask me yesterday. He says, Dennis, my client doesn't clean up the house.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get rid of this client.
Oh, the tenant, yeah.
I was like, or the tenant, sorry. I said to him, you can't really...
You don't live there.
You don't live there, He's paying your rent. He says, yeah, he's late a couple days. I said, no, you can't do that.
No.
It's got to be at least a couple months.
It's got to be... Definitely what has to happen, Dennis, too, is there has to be proper grounds.
Yes.
You cannot, come in and tell somebody how to live their life. Because
Exactly.
I myself have had issues where I've heard stories from people that I know that are, renting in a certain place, and they're saying, well, I think this particular example was a single female and 2 single females renting in a basement, and it was a legalized basement dwelling, and the people upstairs, due to their culturally accepted norms, they didn't appreciate it when guys came over or males, friends came over. Could be their dad, uncle, cousin. They
Yeah,
just
anybody,
did not. They did not want males to come over.
Yeah.
And then they said, well, can they tell me that? And I said, no, they definitely can't.
Yeah.
Sure, they have a legal basement dwelling that you guys are living in, but they can't judge your lifestyle or anything about
Exactly.
that. And if you want to invite your cousin over or have a party, you can have anything you want. And this
Yeah.
is you're renting this property out legitimately.
Mhm.
So a little bit back to this specific situation. So should they get rid of them? If they're habitually late, if it's 1 or 2 days, we say maybe you let it slide. If it's weeks and months, then you apply to the landlord and tenant board,
Yeah.
and then you kind of move the process along. But I'll ask you this question now, Dennis. Would you prefer someone that is late, maybe 1 or 2 days every month, but they keep your property in spick and span condition, or someone that pays every single month right on the first, and you are really just worried about what's going on in that home?
Yeah, exactly. You want somebody that takes care of your property is the person you want to keep.
Yeah.
You're late a couple of days. Not everybody's perfect, but it's not like, crazy amount late. If
Yeah.
it's like a week or something, I let it slide.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
definitely, and you know what? I think the one thing that we also have to make sure we understand from the viewer's point of view, we do understand you don't own these properties out in full. Like
Yeah.
it's not like Mr. Monopoly Man,
Yeah.
where you have all these properties and you don't have any expenses. So we understand that you have your mortgage to pay, but that's why we always recommend our clients we set up their mortgage, set it up for the 15th, and then make sure your tenant rent is coming in on the 1st. So in the event that there's a little bit of a delay, number one, you have a little bit of an extra window. Number two, the way everything's set up, you already have your first and last month deposit on file anyways.
Exactly.
So you should really be having a buffer already built in just in case that maybe there's a 1 month late.
Yes.
You have that 1 month deposit on file. So there's not really something that you really got to worry about from that point of view. So I guess to kind of hone back in, we'll tell this viewer here that it's really take into consideration how well they're treating the
Yeah.
property and how many days it is.
Use
And do
your
you really want to
discretion.
ruin that? Do you want to ruin that relationship
Exactly.
for an extra $100 in new market rent
Yeah.
and not know who's coming in the property? I wouldn't.
It's very funny that you say
Yeah.
that. I actually talked to another client, and he says to me, I have a guy, he pays maybe a week late, sometimes even 2 weeks late.
Right.
And, it puts a strain on him. He has to take out of his own pocket.
Right.
But this guy keeps his house pristine. Not only does he keep his house pristine, but as soon as the grass starts to get long or the weeds start to come out, he does. You would think that this guy owns the house.
Yeah,
He
exterior
cuts the grass.
maintenance,
He
yeah.
buys hundreds of dollars worth of flowers and stuff like that. And he doesn't, my client does give him the money back, but he only gives it to him because the tenant doesn't even ask for it. It just wants it to look properly.
Oh, so you mean
Pride of ownership kind of thing,
right. So like when he does things like extra manure or extra seeds,
Yeah,
and whatever.
yeah. Like he plants the flowers really nice, cuts the grass really nice.
All
and
that
just-
stuff, all of that maintenance, Dennis, is very, very important.
Yeah.
And you can't buy that or you can't get that from anyone. So in my recommendation is if you got someone that's great in there, you keep them in there.
Exactly.
And it's a symbiotic relationship. One person needs needs the other.
Exactly.
So if you got to make a little bit of a little bit of exceptions here and there, then why not?
Yeah, exactly. It's give or take, right?
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, that's great. So that was one question. I know many people probably had that same question,
Yeah.
so I'm glad that we addressed that one. Now, next one here. I'm thinking about buying my first home. Where do I start?
First of all, you
Okay.
call me. That's what you do.
so after calling Dennis or before calling Dennis, like, what's the first thing that's in your mind? I always tell people, and I think we've addressed this multiple times on different episodes, but I guess no one tunes in for the entire length of the episode,
Yeah.
so we can just get it out the door right now. What do, Dennis? You'll get a pre-approval.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. A lot of people don't realize that, because if you start from the bottom, say you don't know nothing about real estate at all, you're very green.
Yeah.
The first thing you think is, okay, let me call the real estate agent.
Right.
Right. So that's where I get a lot of my calls, because a lot of people say, okay, look, I want to buy a house. Who am I going to buy the house from? They don't even realize it, but they don't think about the mortgage at first. So
Right.
that's when you come to me, or if you call AMIT or anybody, we're going to guide
Or
you.
anyone in general. You don't have to just call us.
Yeah, not just us, but it'd be nice. Pretty much, we're going to guide you in the right direction as to
Right.
getting the mortgage pre-approval first, because at the end of the day, we can go and show you all these different type of properties, but you get your hopes up on one property and it comes in that unfortunately you're not approved for that amount. So it's always best to get the approval first.
So that's step one. You go to the bank and you just get an approval.
Yeah, bank or mortgage broker.
Or yeah, exactly. Okay, so that's good. And so then you start from the bottom and then you work your way up.
Yes.
All right, good stuff. That is that's a funny one, eh? Because we talk about it all the time.
We do. We do.
Now next here. Oh, this one actually circled. Okay, so is there a best time throughout the year, price wise, to purchase a home? Now, Dennis, what do you think about that? I think really there isn't, but what's your opinion on that?
Oh, of course there isn't.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like we said before. When is the best time to plant the lemon tree?
10
years ago.
5 years ago.
You're right, 10 years ago, because you have lemons now.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if you wait, the longer you wait, you're out of the market. You just get your feet wet. There's too much speculation out there, and this, that, and the other. Just
really what it is, Dennis, too. There's different market indicators at every time throughout the year. If you're buying high and then you're selling high, it's really the same thing.
Buying low, selling low.
Yeah.
Thing.
So if you're maybe, I can understand a little bit different if you're on the sidelines waiting to jump in, and it is scary. It's you're standing on the edge of that deep end and you're about to jump into home ownership or condo ownership, whatever it is. You're a little bit scared, but really what you got to do, you cannot time the market. When you try to time something like that, you're always gonna end up losing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Your best bet is to speak to a real estate professional, mortgage broker, anything along those lines. You'll get the actual facts, because we're in the market. We're in the business of seeing how the prices are going, seeing how the market is going. Come talk to us. Get your facts first. Don't be scared. Because the thing is, there's no stupid question. Never. I always tell all of my clients that there's no stupid question. Ask me whatever is on your mind.
Of course. Yeah. No, and while you're talking about that, like, we can, not to get too much into the market update that we're going to do in the last segment, but currently buyers are negotiating down on properties that are 600 or 650 or 625 or 700 or even larger. We're doing negotiations that are 10, 15, 20,000, $30,000 below the asking price. So maybe it's a great time to buy at that particular price range, but maybe it's not on a particular lower range. So these are all different things that we'll have to weigh out. But I know there's a lot of stuff that we could talk about on this. So I'll ask our viewers just to stay tuned for a few more moments. What we're going to do is just take a very quick break, and then we'll jump right back into a lot of this Q&A. Welcome back, guys. Hope you enjoyed some of our lovely commercials that are out there, and I definitely hope to see you guys at the business social. I know Dennis and I will both be there.
For sure. For sure.
So basically what we were doing is we're just diving into some of the questions and answers that people have been asking us over the last 4 weeks. And you know, these are just the ones that have been a little bit repetitive. So we want, you know, we want people to know that, hey, we're here to ask. You can ask us questions. If you can't phone in, send us an email. You know, our contact info is just below there. So this is some of those questions. We just finished up on, you know, the right time to buy homes, which I guess, you know, we both said that there is no right time.
Yeah, exactly.
And now this is one that actually came up probably about 3 or 4 times this year so far, actually. So can I buy a home with no down payment? Now, Dennis, people advertise this everywhere. Doesn't matter what market it is. It's a hot market, it's a low market, a down market, a sideways market. Buy your home with 0 down.
Yeah.
It sounds great, really.
Yeah.
Is it a pipe dream?
Right now, pretty much so. Because I'll be honest with you, I have a client. Came across the same advertising, you know, buy 0 down. First thing she says to me, I'm not going to lie to you, I don't have any down payment. I have a good paying job, me and my husband. And we don't have any outstanding debts, car loans, things of those sorts, credit cards and stuff like that. So I said, okay.
How was credit? Like decent?
Credit was good.
Okay, good.
Credit was good. But the thing is now, to get that loan, it sounds so great. Again, it comes back to the point of the people who don't know anything about buying a home. People are absolutely green.
They're green, right?
Like I was saying before, right?
And nothing's wrong with that. Yeah.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. That's the thing. But again, I'm going to say education is key when you're getting into real estate.
Right.
Find out about it, because these things, yes, it's nice you can get the money with no down payment, but you're going to be paying interest that's crazy high.
Significantly higher rates. And you know what, Dennis? There's also something else to remember when we talk about this specific topic. Doesn't matter what lender it is you're looking at. And yeah, sure, they're going to have, you know, these higher interest rates. But every lender, or 99.9% of them, is going to ask you to, at the very least, have your closing costs.
Yes.
And, you know, closing costs could very well run, you know, $7,500, you know, $9,000 on an average $600,000 purchase property. So, you know, these are things that you still have to have in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
Even if you have your first time buyer rebate, that's still, you know, going to be $6,000
Yeah.
right?
Actually, you know what? Sorry to cut you off there. Can you reiterate what is the first time buyer rebate?
Oh, okay, yeah. So the first time buyer rebate, they've actually increased it just a little bit. It used to be only $2,000 as the maximum that you can apply for, as long as you've never been on title in a property in Ontario. Now, actually, as of about a year and a half now, it's up to $4,000. And what the government has done is they said, well, we're not, you know, blind to the situation of the market pricing increasing. If home prices have increased by, you know, $300,000 over the last 10 years, I'm just using a figure, for example. We've got to definitely increase that $2,000 rebate to at the very least $4,000, because the numbers are, even at that point, the numbers still don't really make sense. So, you know, the first time buyer rebate is great where it is. It's a nice step in the right direction. I still think that it should be a little bit larger. But you know, if the market continues to be fairly stable, I don't think anyone's going to complain too much.
$4,000 right now is actually pretty good.
It is, yeah. Because when you think about, like, I just did a purchase for a client, $600,000 for a townhouse in Mississauga. It was Mavis and 401 area. Really nice little townhouse complex. $600,000. The entire closing costs were running about $9,000 with land transfer tax, legal fees, and whatnot. And they got $4,000 instant rebate.
Yeah, that's nice. That's really nice.
Yeah. When you're wondering, you know, hey, when you only have, say, $30,000 or $40,000 for your down payment, that really makes a big difference. That extra $4,000.
Yeah, actually, I had a client. Again, they bought a townhouse again. His wife, well, actually just proposed, and wife is pregnant. Sorry, fiance is pregnant, and they gave me a call and they said, "Hey, Dennis, you know, we're crunching the numbers and we're going to be pretty tight at that time, right?"
right.
So then I said to myself, well, you know, I hate to see people run thin. Like, first thing I could think of is okay, well, what can I do? Then I remembered about the first time buyer rebate. You should have seen how happy they were, because at the end of the day, it's like, especially with a pregnant wife, and they actually have
so many different things going
already.
on. Many different things going on in your life. So that makes sense. So if we kind of hone that back in on, can I buy a property with zero down? Really, if a lender is out there that's willing to give it to you, you may be upwards of 6, 7, 8%, somewhere in that territory. It's a little bit higher. It's actually significantly higher than what the average is. So when you actually look at the numbers, yes, theoretically yes, but will you be able to afford it? Because if you take a look at a normal property that's with, let's just say, $80,000 down on a $600,000 property, that's still, you're looking at $1,700 or $1,800 on a monthly basis, depending on the the average rate, somewhere in the 3% range, right? And don't quote my numbers, but realistically, so then if you don't have that $80,000 down, that same mortgage with that same rate might be $2,100.
Yeah.
Now, if you're taking that rate from 3% and you're throwing it up to 6%, like, are you going to be spending $3,000-$4,000 on a monthly basis to live in the same property?
Yeah.
You might as well just take that money and save it, rent during the meantime, save that money, and then you can eventually jump into the market. So to answer your question there, yeah, you can. But is it recommended? I think you might want to take a look at the entire holistic financial picture before you make that decision.
Yeah. Is it the best move? My personal opinion, I wouldn't recommend it to a client. But again, like I keep saying I strongly believe in doing your research first and finding out what the stipulations are.
Yeah, and then just definitely coming to an industry professional. Speak to your realtor, speak to your mortgage broker, speak to your banker. These are honest people that they have no real vested interest in you going one way or the other.
Yeah.
So your banker is a great resource. They're going to tell you exactly what's going on without you worrying that they're trying to sway you into one thing or the other.
Exactly, and those are the people you most likely see more often than a real estate agent or a mortgage
Exactly,
broker, right?
Exactly. Well, we're our signs are everywhere, so maybe
they
they can just text us. But anyways, so now the next question here. This is an interesting one now. How does mortgage CMHC insurance work? Okay, so Dennis, I know you know a lot about this, but I want to just take a stab at it first.
Okay.
So with CMHC mortgage insurance, there's a lot of misconceptions that this mortgage insurance is to protect you as the lender.
Yes.
That is absolutely incorrect. And it's one of those things where the CMHC mortgage insurance, and you and I were actually talking to a client about it on Tuesday, right?
We were.
So we went into a little bit of detail, and their idea was, oh yeah, that's great, we get the insurance, and well, no, because what happens is this is actually an insurance premium that you're paying on the mortgage because you don't have enough of a down payment that they deem necessary.
Yes.
So if there's less than 20% down, and you say you have the 10% down, the bank is going to require that the other 10% is actually insured
with CMHC.
And really what they do that specifically because if you go on default and you don't actually pay that mortgage every month, the bank's going to who's going to pay. So the bank takes out this mortgage insurance policy, and you're actually the one that's paying it. So you're paying a policy where the bank is a beneficiary. But really, at the end of the day, it's one of those things that's a necessary evil.
Yeah, that's the thing. Because if they lend you the money and you default on it, this is the insurance. Just kind of like you have car insurance. Nobody has that money to pay up. That's why you pay it, right? You
pay that monthly amount, right? Exactly. So what's happening in these particular situations where the bank is just making sure and protect themselves, and you can't really blame them for that. So that's kind of how that one works.
Yeah. And my recommendation, sorry, just to add on that,
try to
save
put
up the 20%. I would put down the 20%. I tell all my clients to do that. Try to have the 20% down. And skip the CMHC fees because it's an overall savings in your pocket, right?
Right.
And then you can put more down. Once you put more of a down payment down, you're getting closer to paying more principal, right?
Yeah, and that's something that I guess a lot of our viewers, may not really understand unless they look deeply into their mortgage papers and you take a look at something called the amortization schedule.
Yes.
So what that's going to say is, well, really the first mortgage payment is all interest.
Exactly.
The mortgage payment, at the midpoint, say it's a 30-year mortgage, so at year 15 is half interest, half principal.
Principal, yeah.
And then the last payment is all principal. So really what that's why we always recommend review that amortization schedule, try to do accelerated payments.
Yes.
Do a little extra payments whenever you have an extra $100, $200. You go and you throw something extra down on the mortgage.
It's worth it.
Yeah, it really is. So on that note, what I'll do is I'll ask our viewers again to just stay tuned for a few moments while we take a commercial break, and we're going to be back diving into a lot of these questions and answers that a lot of our viewers have been asking.
Yeah.
All right.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to this episode of Let's Talk Real Estate. Again, I have myself here, AMIT Kanhai, and Dennis Allison, also from the Bridge team. So we're just kind of diving into a lot of the questions that people have been asking us over the last. This is actually the last 4 weeks. We've answered a lot of them one-on-one, but really, what Dennis and I thought would be a great time to just jump into them on air, because if one person's asking, there's a lot more. Yeah, there's a lot more that are wondering. Yeah. So we'll touch briefly on a few of these before we get into the market update at the end. But this one is something that's come up quite a few times. Now, hi guys. How much will I need typically when I'm closing a property? Okay, well that's actually, it comes up a lot, and it's very simple, and we've actually touched on it even in this episode, but let's just reiterate. So closing costs are typically going to range around 1.5%.
1.5%?
Yeah. Now, that's in Peel region and excluding Toronto. I'll let you kind of jump in Toronto after. But what does that 1.5% entail? That's going to be including your closing costs for your lawyers, so your legal fees. And what lawyers are going to do is they're going to jump into everything, take a look at any liens on the property. They're going to have a look and see if there's proper, the whole 9 yards. They're going to check and just make sure that everything's done correctly. Exactly. So, that's a normal legal fee you're going to have to pay. So that's, say, $1,500. You're going to have land transfer tax in there. And if you are not a first-time buyer, you're not going to get your rebate. So, that's why that 1.5% is kind of, it's a rough figure. Yeah. And that's typically because the land transfer tax in the Peel region and in the other areas, non-Toronto, are around 1%. Right? And then in Toronto, as you know.
In Toronto, roughly 2%. 2%, I would say. 2%. Some cases even 2.5, but 2% would be good enough in Toronto. Just again, like you're talking with the land transfer tax, it tends to be higher in the GTA. In Toronto area.
Yeah, and one thing that's really interesting, Dennis, the land transfer tax is higher in Toronto, but if you look at your property taxes, are actually significantly lower. So, and it's a really funny thing to say, and that's why I say it so slowly for our viewers, because when you think about it, or you just hear about it, you might just assume those two are the same thing. Land transfer tax and property tax. So totally they're two different things. So one is a monthly fee that you're paying to own that property. It's a tax on the property monthly. And one is when I'm transferring that property from you to me, or from me to another person. So that's something that's completely different. One's a one-time fee and one's an ongoing fee. So one thing that people say is a big hurdle about living in Toronto is you have a very high land transfer tax. Yeah, that's true. But your property taxes on a monthly basis are much lower. So it generally works out for the better, especially if you're living in the property for a longer period of time, because you're able to get through with that lower amount of less cash flow stealing from you every month, right?
Yeah.
Because an average property let's say 800,000 or more 750 to 850,000 in Peel region and Oakville and continuing to Burlington and whatnot is probably going to be costing you about $5,000 for the year, maybe $500 or $450 on a monthly basis. That same property is going to be significantly lower in Toronto. Your land transfer will be higher, but your monthly will be lower.
Yeah, so it equals out at the end.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what we're talking about past episodes is even with the condo fees and the
maintenance fee?
The maintenance fee.
Yeah.
It tends to, because some people look at it as, wow, that maintenance fee is so high, but you're looking at the property taxes, they seem to be lower, and vice versa. So that kind of rang out to me. When
I definitely understand that, because a few clients have actually specifically asked me questions around that, and I think there was another question here. I wasn't planning on getting to it, but maybe I'll jump ahead to it. Basically, it was one of our viewers had a question regarding townhouse complexes that have maintenance fees, but they're very, very small maintenance fees that are not actually paid to a maintenance company. They're just for garbage collection and removal. So I guess we can kind of jump into that right now. Now, basically, the average townhouse complex, whether it be a condo building, multi high rise, or just a townhouse complex, they still have a condo corporation that's attached to them, and those condo corporations will actually manage the exterior of the home and maybe the windows and doors and roof and different things like that. Now, there's also particular areas where you may notice that you drive into these townhouse areas and the roads are significantly smaller than the regular ones on, say, Toronto Street, or on a Peel Region Street, or on Ajax Street, whatever it is. And you think, well, how the heck did these builders manage to build it so small when everything else is different? And really what happened is those are private roads.
Yeah. So what happens then?
You need private garbage collection. No, that's
true.
You need private garbage collection. You need private snow removal.
Yes.
And these are all, they sound like they're fairly small, but even private, sewage removal and all these things. So what happens is they've built them a little bit smaller, and they're not to city code.
Yeah.
So now what happens is the city says, well, sure, you can do that, but then this is a private land now.
Yeah.
This whole plot is a private land, and you guys have to kind of pay to remove all these items. So these are those ones that you see with this very minuscule maintenance fee or fee associated with it, and that fee may be $50 or $65, $89 for the month. But these guys are paying for someone to come and do garbage collection and different things like that. So that's a little bit of it sounds confusing, because you kind of just throw this new product into the market, which is not that new. They've been around for 10 15 years, but it adds another thing into the grand scheme of things, because we have detached houses, then we have detached freehold houses, then we have condo association houses, then we have condo townhouses, and then also now we throw this one in there.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a lot of different things, and like you always say, Dennis, make sure you talk to your real estate professional, your banker, and then you can kind of figure out, that's why it's that much lower, because I'm paying money on the back end for an association fee or something like that.
Yes, exactly. And also, again, like we say all the time, if you can afford it, go freehold. Right? If you have to go to condo, hey, get anything you can afford. But at the end of the day, if you can go freehold, that is your best bet. That's my word of advice.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so let's we got a couple more minutes here, so let's jump into one more question here. This one I highlighted. Okay, so should I reduce my listing price? Okay, so let me just give some background information. I've sold my property, or I'm selling my property. I'm not getting the interest that I'd like. Should I reduce my listing price or offer an incentive to sell my home? Incentive being I'm throwing in a barbecue or I'm going to fix something up on the property. So Dennis, what's your take on that? Let's say you're a buyer and someone's saying, well, there's a reduction in price, or I'm going to fix up the deck that's in decay. What do you think really is the right thing to tell this viewer?
To be honest with you, if I was putting myself in a buyer's shoes, it would actually just be based on the pros and cons. How much is it going to cost to redo that deck opposed to getting that price reduction? If I get that price reduction, is it going to be...
Am I qualifying for the property?
Yeah. With the price reduction, it works out to be a little bit... I don't know, because it's
a hard question. It really is, and it has to depend on the buyer, because I'll tell you what it is now. A lot of times, that buyer is going to come into the property, and that difference of $5,000 of a reduction in price, it sounds great if everything was just cash, and you had $550,000 for that property, and let's just say that's the price. But now you say, well, I'm going to give you $545,000. It really doesn't matter to the average buyer, because they're not taking cash from the bank and then purchasing it. That's mortgage money. So when you look at that $5,000 amount that's additional, if they're already qualified for it, there's not one buyer out there that's going to take much sweat off their back and say, well, my mortgage is going to go down by $3, so I want that.
Yeah, that's
true.
Instead. That's true. Yeah.
So what the average person is going to say, well, I'm just buying this property and I have to get this, this huge mortgage amount now, and I'm putting all my money as my down payment and all these things. I really wish I could fix that deck.
Yeah, get the deck fixed.
But I can't until next year. So if you offer that as an incentive, I really think that a lot of buyers might take it.
That's true, yeah.
Now, on that same note, a price reduction is always very, very attractive.
Of course, yeah, that's the thing.
So
right?
Not everyone thinks about it as logically as I've just explained it for you here.
Yeah.
A lot of people and consumers in general.
I'll be honest, you kind of threw me off a little bit too.
Right.
I was like thinking about it. I was like, wait, I know this one.
Yeah, because the average consumer is just going to say, well, hey, that's a reduction. I want to go to XYZ store when I got a rollback price, and because it's cheaper right now, so now I want it. So that's a good question. So it really is going to depend on the buyer, and if there's no one in the market right now that's looking at interest in your house, honestly, no one's going to look and say, oh, are you going to fix that for me? Sure. Oh, but they're going to say a price reduction. Maybe I'm going to go take a look at it. So it really depends on the buyer at that point in time.
So just with a play of words kind of thing.
Yeah, and the neighborhood as well. So with that being said, we're going to take a close to this particular segment and ask our viewers to stick around for a few more moments, where we're going to jump into one or two more questions, and then we're going to give a nice quick market update. So we'll see you guys shortly.
T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi there, and welcome back, guys. This is Let's Talk Real Estate, as you know, with myself, AMIT and Dennis Allison, filling in for Jay Bridgeball. So right now in this episode, in general, we're just kind of diving into a lot of the questions and answers that we've been seeing popping up on the forums on multiple times. So we're just kind of addressing them in one condensed episode, so you don't have to, scroll through all the threads. So this one, I thought this one was just a really silly one. So I threw this in here, and I've gotten it more than once. So, what color of house sells the fastest?
Well, it's not a car, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, no, you know what? What I think they were talking about specifically was, exterior and interior.
Yeah.
So interior, I always tell people there's two different things. Depending on your neighborhood and location and what particular home and who's in the area, sure, you might get a lot of those bright colors or very dark colors, depending on what the neighborhood is about and the feel. But the general rule of thumb in real estate is go with neutral colors.
Neutral, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
A lot of clients ask me, we always think, because it just comes straight to us, like, okay, if you're going to sell your home, you want it to be brighter,
yeah.
And you want it to be empty. That's the best way to stage your home. So if you're looking for, you're going to look for your off-whites, your eggshells, those type of things. If you're going with dark, I would say go with the one wall.
Oh, you mean like an accent wall,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, like an accent wall, if you're going to go that route. But to be honest with you, your house will be brighter with light colors.
Yeah, and you know what? It gives the illusion of more space when you have lighter colors. You feel more airy and things like that. So definitely keep your white ceilings.
Yes,
don't paint anything black or anything like that. I think what's really in style right now is these light grays, these gray tones. I fell victim to it myself. I did my entire house in 4 different shades of gray. Yeah. So it's really nice. A lot of it's very much white tones on them, and they make every room kind of pop a little bit different. And I also even did a split where I did the trim around the sides and then one tone of gray on the top and one at the bottom.
Yeah.
And white really makes it pop. And the funny thing is, it goes with any color flooring.
Yes.
It goes with stainless steel appliances, or it goes with white appliances or black appliances. So, and this might obviously it's the trend right now, but I don't see it really changing for the next 10 years or so.
Yeah, actually, my house, I have also gone with a light gray in the bedrooms.
Right.
I'm big on, I like the creamy type of colors with light. So I went with the main floor of my house.
Like a beige?
Like a beige, yeah. Really nice beige. It's not really, you can't really.
Not too deep.
Yeah, it's not deep. But with the gray, it really blends in nice when you go with the light gray.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, so that makes sense. Yeah, some nice light tones. Great. So yeah, that should answer your question. What color house sells the fastest? There is no real answer for that, but it's just like making sure that it's visually appealing and not an eyesore.
Exactly. What would you want to see?
Exactly. Yeah. So on that note, excuse me there. What do we got next? What should I be looking for in an investment property? I think honestly we talk about that like over and over again. So I'm gonna summarize specifically and just say location.
Yes.
Because even up to this morning, I had a client ask me a question. Hey, I'm able to get this nicer, little bit newer property all the way up as a townhouse, by the way, all the way up at Sandalwood. It's actually a little bit farther than Sandalwood. So we're talking about in Peel region, guys. So in Brampton, all the way up, all the way north, and it was about $520,000 for. It's an attached townhouse, 3 bedrooms. It's not that large, about 1,500 square feet, so it wasn't huge, but it's for an investment property. And what my buyer was saying was, well, yeah, sure, these ones that are on Mavis and Steeles or Mavis and Derry are $570,000. That's a difference of $50,000 or $40,000 I can keep in my pocket. And then I said, well, think about it this way, Mr. Buyer.
Where are you gonna get the rent?
Where are you gonna? Yeah, are you gonna get if there's no bus service up in that specific area, or if it's every 30 minutes versus every 10 minutes? People are gonna want proper access to public transit. They're gonna want an area that's not brand spanking new, where there's grass on the ground instead of dirt, and you're dealing with rain and dust and all these things. So this newer area, sure, it seems great on paper, but that's actually why it's cheaper.
Yeah.
Because you're not getting that same quality of a move-in neighborhood where you're just kind of jumping in and turning the key.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the conversation, we kind of realized that okay, we're gonna to keep it more in the core area, because you really got to put on that hat that says, well, what is the potential person that's going to live in this property want, not what am I going to want for my pocket.
Yeah, exactly. And also you have to remember too, once you go further out, for example, I had a client end up going outside of wanting to get
Cambridge, Waterloo,
the London area, which is it's nice and cheap, and the quality you can get a new build home for under 500.
Yeah, 350, 400 I've seen in London.
Yeah, they were small like that. That's basic models, but still even, right? But then you got to remember the prices are so cheap that the people that are would be good renters, they are able to buy. Now you're inviting Mr. and Mrs. Hell that are going to be, doing all the bad things that you don't want, smoking in the house and not taking care of it and stuff like that, which brings us back to, the same type of people. Would you want somebody in your house that doesn't pay the rent on time kind of thing?
It's a full circle. I like that. Yeah, we brought us right back to question number one. Great. Okay, so that's good. So I'll leave it at that because we touched on that in a lot of other episodes. So just location.
Yes.
Number one rule of real estate.
Second one I would say is size.
Now, on that note, let's jump into this one. I really like this question now. So I'm thinking of listing my home this summer. What should I do for the exterior of my home? It's about 20 years old. All right, so all I hear right now is curb appeal. And when you have a home that's 20 or 30 years old or even 50 years old, it's great. You have nice lot sizes or whatever it is, but everything needs a little bit of sprucing up on the outside. So let's give you some very quick, down-to-earth, and concise points that you want to really focus on. Fresh coat of paint on doors.
Always.
Window trims.
Always.
Eaves troughs.
Always.
Yeah. So nice, fresh, clean. It does not cost a lot to replace eaves troughs. It does not cost a lot to just go out there and paint those trims. And especially, it just brings a revival back to it. And you know what? We were talking about neutral tones. At this point, I don't mind if you paint your front door red, because a nice bright front door. It's fine.
It's inviting.
It really is. Yeah.
And also too, what I usually do is it's small things like caulking. Caulking is very simple. Take out the old one. Just put in a brand new bead. It's not hard to learn. You can go on YouTube and actually find out how to do it properly. Or you can call me and I can show you too. But it's very simple. Simple things like that will make the world of difference. Yeah.
So, okay, nice. Fresh coat of paint, caulking, shutters and door trims.
Yes.
What I would say, replace the numbers. The numbers on the front of your house, 45, 37, XYZ Crescent, whatever it is. These old dingy numbers, they've been there for 20 years. So they don't last like brick does. You can just go to Home Depot, go to Walmart, whatever it is, pick up some nice, shiny new numbers and replace them. Or even go on Kijiji and get someone to install those lighted ones.
There's lighted ones. I'll be honest with you. I was just about to say that. It makes the world of difference. It's a small thing, and it's not very expensive.
No, it's very
bank to get this
it's very cheap. I'm talking about less than a few bucks.
It looks really good, especially in the nighttime, obviously. But it's
and even if you don't go with the colored and lighted ones, just a new set. They're even like $3-4 per number. So what else? You know what? A proper warm, inviting lighting on your exterior. A lot of homes that we go to over the garage or the front door, they have broken lamps or whatnot. Just either get a very cheap lamp and replace it at $35-40 from your average fixer-up store like Home Depot or whatnot, and put a nice warm colors. A lot of people like the bright, harsh whites. I guess it's your preference when it's the exterior, so that's fine as long as it's bright. Light it up. That's what I got to tell people. Light it up. And what else? I think something like landscaping. Landscaping is a little bit more costly on this list, but if you have a very nice, warm, and inviting landscape, it's really going to help a lot. So that's something. And roof. If you got to spend a little extra money to get rid of the crumbling roof, do it. So that's kind of where we are there. And I know we've been pushing it for time. So Dennis, I just want to ask really quickly, market update. Where do you see the market going?
I'll be honest with you, the prices are balancing out.
Fairly stable.
Very stable. A lot of the prices are listed slightly above what's really
what the real price
wanted.
should be.
Just so it's more. It's not like before when there was multiple offers. The price was like $300,000. Obviously, you're not going to get.
It's going for $550 or $4.
They're just making it enticing. Now it's being listed properly, where it can be negotiated,
Right.
and the house will sell for what it should be sold.
So
for.
a very, very balanced buyer and seller market is what you're
Absolutely,
saying, right?
absolutely.
So that's great, and that's anything over the range of about 650, all the way to a million. This week we've listed a couple 1.1s.
Yes.
And in general, I think our team, we listed about 14 or 15 properties this month.
Yes.
And everything's in a plethora of different price ranges. What we're noticing is the stuff that are on the higher end taking a little bit longer to sell, but marketing is very important, and there is the right buyer out there. It
Yes.
just goes into a little bit of a negotiation on price and when you want the closing and those things. Still, what's happening, I find, Dennis, anything under 5 or 550 is going very quickly.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Another thing I want to say to anybody selling their house or want to sell their house, don't be afraid, because now everyone's afraid to put their house on the market because of this stress test. But now you have to understand, now you have more qualified people to buy your house. So
Yeah.
do not be afraid to put your house on the market.
Yeah, and everyone that was on the sidelines, Dennis, they've actually just said, and they were waiting for the last 2 or 3 months. They said, you know what? I don't know what I was waiting for. Now they're just jumping in.
Yeah, exactly.
And
They
that
had their
always,
feet in the pool, now
yeah,
it's to get the full body wet.
yeah, exactly. I like that analogy. So basically, with that, I just want to wrap it up. This episode of Let's Talk Real Estate. So I really want to thank you guys for watching Let's Talk Real Estate. I want you guys to like, share, comment, and if you really want to talk to us, just feel free to scroll down and give us a send us a buzz on all of our contact info below.
Also, I'd like to let you know that we're going to be having our forum, which is was our workshop before. Now we've
Rebranded
made
it.
an open forum because it's more, we want to get everybody engaged.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a panel this time. We're gonna have a lawyer, and a lawyer for sure. We have Dinesh. He is a experienced investor with us, and then we're gonna have, of course, our
All of
bridge
us
team
here, yeah.
professionals there to answer your questions. We're gonna have some other
So,
guests.
we'll have some of the links on that in the bio below. So I definitely want to thank you guys for watching, and see you guys next time.
Take care.
Bye.